Hi, everyone. I am Cheryl Anderson and I work for Q Consulting. Just started a new role. So if last time I hosted, you probably heard I was somewhere else. Um, but new job. And this weekend or this week or this month actually is Women in Ad or sorry, is Women's History Month. So just wanted to mention that to start with, that we're having a woman speaker for this month. And actually next month, we're going to do Ask Me Anything with a panel of all women who will be joining us for that. So very exciting. So be sure to sign up for next month as well. So for this month, tonight, we're talking to Marie Christine Legault. She goes by MC. And MC is the head of Canada at CPrime Incorporated. And she's joining us tonight from Montreal. I first met MC when she was at an Agile Day Twin Cities event in probably 2016 or 2017.
That's it.
And she was there giving a talk about Agile outside of IT. And we struck it off right away and have stayed in touch ever since. MC has been a valuable mentor to me, and I know that you'll enjoy this. And one interesting thing I saw this week is that I saw a post on LinkedIn that she was on stage with Kiefer Sutherland, so we might have to hear about that. um, MC is an ally and agile driving force that can influence change with new solutions. She pivots and advises leaders to fast forward. MC is no stranger to success by forging incredible relationships and partnerships with the business communities around the world. For 25 years, she's elevated, connected, and empowered a new generation of executives and game changers in Canada. Her passion is innovative and tests together with people and product and technology. She paves the way for organizations like the United Nations, GE, McDonald's, Bell, Cadbury, a whole bunch of places. And she beats her drum, leads, manages, inspires, and communicates differently. So she is absolutely a dynamo. And this is her one of her superpowers. She's also a global speaker. And one of the other things I want to mention just quickly is be sure to follow MC on LinkedIn because she shares a really good Friday morning tip every week. So I always love catching up on those. So kicking it off to you then, MC.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. My goodness, I mean, wow. And how delighted I am to spend some time with all of you this evening. I'm getting to know a whole bunch of new names here that I'm going through, who's here, and beautiful faces. And I'm really excited to share, and it is a passion of mine. It's how to power network if you want. And I've been in the world of agility for the last 15 years, and I did have the pleasure to speak and have fun and have a great conversation way back almost 7 years ago with Cheryl at the Agile Twin Cities Day. That was David Hussman had invited me, and we had connected because I'm from Montreal, Canada. And David was our keynote speaker in Montreal back in 2014. And he was, you think I'm a dynamo, he was a loud dynamo, and just amazing. And we kicked off a conversation and we just chatted like for 2 hours, and then the relationship started. So he started coming to Montreal, we started exchanging different opportunities in business, and then I was re-invited to ADTC. And your community, the mini community, is on my heart, guys. I wear it as a badge. I come every year and I've met tremendous people, and you're going to kind of see it through my presentation. First of all, first thing I want to say, I have this pack sack here on my back, and it's full of stories, it's full of tools and nuggets for you guys. And all I want to do is share what I've learned in my life. I don't want to keep it for me. I want to share it. So this presentation, it's interactive. If you have questions, just interrupt me, just say, MC, I got a question. I got to understand this, or I'm not sure. It's for you. And I really want us to have fun this evening. And what do I have? How much time do I have, Cheryl?
We're scheduled for an hour and a half.
Okay, perfect. So feel free, it's interactive and this is yours. So wherever I've been in life, I'm going to share something very personal. My mother has always been a wonderful inspiration for me. She showed me a few things in life when sometimes it was tougher, and she would say, speak up, say what you think, MC, share what you have as an idea, don't be shy. She used to say that to me all the time. When I was doing sports, I did a lot of sports when I was young. She used to say, go play with the guys. They'll beat you. They'll make you better. They don't think the same way. And I realized that it was learning how to push myself and be out of my comfort zone. And in life, we all know that's how we grow. That's all about change management of our habits and where we're comfortable in life. Well, networking is hard. It's not always fun. So let me kick off the presentation. And I'm going to share all types of little stories and what's happened and how I hit bumps in the road and sometimes what kind of helped me. And Cheryl, you mentioned that it's the International Month of Women, and it was March 8th, not very long ago, but this whole month celebrates women. I just want to say that I've had more men open doors for me in my life than women.
Wow.
And I've always thought, not just in my heart, but we're better together. So
Yep.
I always try to push, how do we do it together? And not create silos. And we are all agile here, and I think that we all have that mindset. And I think probably the world of agility is probably going to be leading the way and leading that journey of being better together. So how do we power network? What does that mean? Networking is not just about talking and exchanging and shaking hands. It's a lot more than that. I don't know if I can do a poll or something, but does anybody really like networking here?
No.
Does anybody have to wear, I'm seeing
Eric is shaking his head yes.
I was gonna say, Eric was a yes. We need to hear from the outlier. Do we have time to hear from the outlier? Talk to us, Eric. Tell us your secret.
and
Come on
I
in
know
and tell us.
and I know somebody's wearing a baseball cap here, so it's not just wearing that hat that has to network and be comfortable with, and it's a lot more than that. Networking means a lot of things. So I'm going to try and bring it in the world of business, but also on a personal level. It's not comfortable. It's not easy going up to somebody and saying hi or introducing themselves. And I don't know anybody that raises their hand and says, I love networking. Everybody hates networking because it puts you in a position where you are vulnerable. And as agile people, we're supposed to be able to be comfortable with our vulnerability. You need to give with zero expectations in return. That is a key. Because if you're going to zero in on somebody in a crowd and say, I got to go meet them for this reason or whatever, and expect something in return, I'm telling you in advance, they're going to feel it a mile away. Actually, they'll probably see you coming right towards them and start putting up that wall. How to get past, hello, hi, how are you? I'm Julie. I work in such and such a company. This is my role, and I live in, I don't know where, Zurich. Everybody says that. Why? They always say their name, where they work, where they live. They never start a conversation or spark it with something that would be new or with a uniqueness about them. I met somebody that was really good in networking a few years ago, like maybe 15, 20 years ago. And they said to me, MC, when you meet somebody, shock them, throw them off their their beat a little bit. And I said, what do you mean? And they said to me, say something that will help them remember you and that shocks them or takes them aback at the same time. So I tried it, and this is what I said, not to this person, but like a few hours later at the conference where we were, and I said, hi, I'm MC. I'm a professional knitter. And then I stopped talking. And everybody like around that little cocktail thing, they all went, what? You know, we were like at a business conference and I'm saying I'm a professional knitter. So, and I was saying, oh, well, you know, I know how to knit and stitch and connect people together. And I've got a knack in business. And by the way, I hate knitting. So everybody kind of cracked up and it was funny. You know, maybe I'm not delivering it the same way, but getting people like to listen or kind of stand up to or have their ears perked when you introduce yourself, it could be really, really, really fun. So I tried it again once at a Christmas party. It was my husband's Christmas party that year. And he had a boss that he really hated, like really hated. So when his boss came to me and introduced himself, he was kind of like, hi, what's your name? You know, and I said, oh, hi, I'm MC. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. He says, oh, you're happy to meet me or happy to be here? I said, no, I just won the lottery. I'm getting out of here later. I am so excited. I won the jackpot that you saw last night on TV or whatever. And he said, oh my God, what are you going to do with this money? And then all of a sudden he was like really interested and focused on my husband and me. And then I did not tell him that it was not true till the end of the evening. So, you know, it could be, have fun with it. That's what I'm saying. Have fun, get past the hello and saying, hi, I'm such and such a person. I work for this company, and kind of then wait for a response. And then, you know what you're creating when you do that? The other person's going to say the same thing. Hi, I'm Jim and I work for Deloitte, and nice to meet you. And I'm on payroll. I'm working in payroll. So what you kickstart as a conversation in that hello, well, it's going to mirror. So remember that. And going beyond handing a business card. I don't know how many times I've seen people in an event say, hi, I'm Julie, here's my business card. And the other person's like, oh, wow, thanks. And then what's the other person doing? Because they're uncomfortable now. They're looking at the business card and they're saying, oh, well, it's nice. Oh, thank you. And then they put it in their pocket. And then there's no more conversation. It's rare. And, you know, we don't have business cards, many people anymore either. So how do you engage? How do you move past that business card or start getting traction or somebody interested in getting to know you? And if they're not interested in getting to know you, you're going to be able to, I'll give you guys examples, but how to create a form of almost an intimacy when you want to talk with them, and how you have to look at them in the eyes. You know, sending emails. I've seen people send gazillion emails and it's like copy paste, you know, they've just changed Harold to Julie to Mark to Mr. And they write in a way that they don't talk. It's so business. I would like to instead of saying, hello, I'm really interested in getting to know you. I'm sending you an email. Can you reach out to me at this number or send me back an email and tell me when we can do a Zoom? Be very forward, be very business, but say it with how you would talk when you send your email. Make it personal. You're trying to build a relationship. Whoever that person you're trying to reach is, you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get a hold of an executive in your company, you want to try and get in touch with your HR team, or you want to get in touch with a future client or a partner, try it on a personal level. It's so different. And I'm going to share, I even do RFPs like that. I write it like I was talking and I stand out of the crowd. Because it's like, oh my God, they can almost read it and see this is a true partner talking. This is really somebody that wants to collaborate. And networking is a great way to grow. I've grown since I've been putting myself out there. I've learned and I've built amazing relationships. I've had great opportunities to meet people that I don't think I would have had the guts to go and say hi to them. It's because I put myself out there. And I'm not saying that my knees didn't go like this sometimes, or that my heart wasn't pumping like crazy, or I felt like my throat was so tight, or I was sweaty, all this happens. But what are you going to do to be able to network? And why do I need to do this? What is it and why do I need to do this? I really want to zero in on this with you guys. So the first thing, and the title says it, stop pitching, start connecting with people. After many people say their name and whatnot, where they work, they start saying right away what they want. You got to start dating before you get married. It's the same thing when you're networking. It's like, don't throw it at them right away. You would never go into your boss's office and say, hey, I need a raise. You're going to say, hey, hi, how are you doing? How are the kids? Or whatever you're going to say, but you're not going to ask right off the bat for a raise. So if you stop pitching and start connecting with the person, you might look at somebody and say, my goodness, you look like my Aunt Edna. And by the way, Edna was amazing and she went to the Olympics. It might not even be true, but you could position it in a way that it's going to attract the other person, or catch their interest in a way. So believe it or not, we started networking when we were really, really small. You can see that I put a little school here. The Bobbies and the Jimmies and the Lisas and the Anns and whatnot met in the schoolyard at kindergarten for the very first time. That was your first experience out of the home, where you needed to make a little friend, or you needed to play baseball or soccer, or just, dodgeball, or skip rope, or just walk around the schoolyard and make a little buddy. And that was hard. I don't know if you go back to your elementary or kindergarten, do you still remember some of the friends you made and how you made them and how you connected? I remember a few friends that I made, and I remember also how it was hard. I didn't even know anybody. First of all, I'm French. I'm not even English. And I went to English kindergarten. So there was a little bit of the language barrier, but it was like, I didn't know anybody. This was like out of my circle of little neighborhood friends or neighbors or whatnot. So when you go back to how you met, sometimes you have to go back with the kid in you when you start meeting people. I'm sure when you go to people, if you look at them like this and look at the floor, well, you're not going to get their attack. You're not going to attract them. You got to look at them. You got to speak to them. We also started networking when it was time to either date or do your first trip, when you went out on a school trip and you were older in high school. You also probably started when you started working, got your first job, or if you did sports, you had to build a team, or you had to build those connections and share a passion. Often if there's a environment that you're at a conference, there's a passion, there's something that's connecting you guys. That's a good way of opening up a discussion. If you just saw a speaker, if you just saw the program of the day, or if this is your third time at this event, but twist it in a way that it's not just you asking them something. Try to make it personal. Connecting our agendas and trying to figure out when we're going to meet, how we're going to meet. That's another thing. since the whole COVID thing, we're all working hybrid. We're all working virtually from our homes. We're not connecting as much with our clients at their offices or at events or in our own offices. So it makes it even harder to build that network. Sometimes you need a network and a good team to build at home in your neighborhood with your neighbors and whatnot, but you also need one at work. How did you connect with them? How did you do it? Well, there's different ways of going about it. You know, Cheryl is amazing. I know that how she works with her teams and how she's on Zoom so many hours, they can almost touch her. She's always there and she's always available. And she also sets meetings up at certain times. In my case, I call it a Zoom coffee. I often reach out to clients and say, hey, how about doing a Zoom coffee? I'll have my big, and it's a big cup, guys. It's big like my face. So I try to make it fun. You know, at CPrime where I work, we do town halls where we meet all the employees together, and there maybe the first 5-10 minutes out of the half an hour, it's information that's shared with to the employees about what's new. It might be a new billing system. It might be something new with employees. And then we use that time for a subject that's really key. Like we have the root cause where we talk about diversity. Right now it's Women's Month. There's something happening on that. We've had a change. We have had the organization has been acquired by Goldman Sachs. So there's a lot of little details, and also comforting employees, sharing with them what's happening and communicating so that there's an exchange and there's a response and you feel that you have more clarity or you understand what's happening. Being in the dark is hard. And this picture, which is, you know, when you know one people, they say, you know, 7 people and they're all connected. Well, that's true, because when you really take the time to chat about something that's dear to you, all of a sudden somebody, the person that you're talking with might just say, oh, well, gee whiz, your son plays on the same baseball team as my son, or dad might be saying, hey, I coach Little League also, or there's always a connection, or hey, I think I know your father. It's incredible if you're really present and you listen and you start trying to find a way, that crack in the wall to connect with that person, it just happens. And there's one thing that I want you to know. If you started school and you met people, or you went on your first trip, or you started a family and you met the man or the woman of your life, or vice versa, there's one thing that we all do universally, and it's smile. Smile, you're going to attract. Somebody's going to want to talk to you. And that is something when we're nervous, we don't do. Actually, we tighten up when we're nervous. And you'll notice we'll go like this with our mouth. Or we'll bite our nails. Or we'll be like this. Or somebody's going to have their knee going like this underneath the table. I'm telling you, the person that's in front of you, be it on a Zoom or in person, sees it all. Or they'll even feel the table shaking sometimes. It's like, come on, has nobody ever told you? Now, when you're connecting with people, sometimes it's difficult to be heard. And I'm going to share something with you. We all have wounds that have never really healed since we were little kids, since we went to that school. And it could have been on your swim team. It could have happened at ballet classes. It could have happened at home with your mom or your dad or your siblings. Could have happened with a teacher. Everybody has 5 wounds. Everybody wants to be seen, heard. They want to be able to talk. They don't want to be rejected, and they don't want to be abandoned. These 5 things are key as of today for you. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're in a conference room And John's there. And John is just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And it's so long when he talks. And then it's like, oh yeah. And then he always adds his grain of salt. Well, maybe John needs to talk. And you have other people that they're always flashy. Well, I did this and I did that. And oh, look what I got today. Hey, I brought you guys brownies or da 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 da. That's somebody that needs to be seen. That means you already have a hint of how to approach that person or make her feel at ease. You might not start seeing people the same way. And think about it. Some people in your environment, be it at work, be it in neighbors, and be it in sports, be it in your household. Some people don't want to be rejected. They say yes to everything, even if their workload can't manage it. They want to be loved. They don't want to be rejected. They want to be part of the team. And abandoned is like really hard too. Rejected, how many times in phys ed I wasn't chosen to be on the team for dodgeball. There was like 4 people left. That's an awful feeling that stays with you. Or from the schoolyard, I'm going back to the school. It all started there in the schoolyard when the girls were like, hey, you're no good. You have braces. That's when we get those little wounds and they make us react or act differently in life. So you now know, seeing, heard, listening to people that they really want to talk, not being rejected and not being abandoned, are the same psychological wounds that they show us in our first, I did the integral coaching class. Those were the first elements that they showed us, so how we could learn how to connect with people, how we could try and see people differently. And I'm going to add, listen to them differently. The next slide is, I want to know, are any of you on social media? All of you practically? So some Facebook, some Instagram, some LinkedIn, any other? Yeah? Well, and nowadays it's like really, really, really important to try and utilize social media to network. I'm going to give you an example. Cheryl was saying that I'm very active on LinkedIn and that I have my little Friday morning tip that I do. It's a little recording. It's always about a minute. That's it. That's all. And it's something that happened during the week that sparked something in me. And it's how do I bring the human side of things, either in the business world or technology. But I use LinkedIn to connect with people because I do it for business. And guess what happens after? It becomes friendships. A lot of them. And I'm surprised to what extent. Because I don't do it for what's in it for me. I connect with people and try to see what's in it for them. And why I want to connect with them. When you have a client in front of you or a boss or whatnot, and you start really truly listening to what they're saying, or you're building here, if you're building software, who are you developing it for and what's in it for them? What advantage is there for them? What's going to move the needle for them? When you start doing that, you're doing it from a place of giving and not taking. So, and it's hard at first. It's not rocket science, but it's hard. And it's learning how to build a rapport. I'm going to ask you something. On the count of 3, I want you all to cross your arms. 1, 2, 3. Is everybody comfortable? Okay, I'm going to count to 3 again, and I'm going to ask you to do something. 1, 2, 3. Cross them the other side. Was that comfortable?
It's just not new.
Was it natural?
I had to think about it. It's like, what did I do? Did I do the same thing I just did, or did I do it
If
differently?
you were looking
it's
at
like,
me, yeah, same with me. I was like, okay, cross them the other way.
I did the
That's
same
what-
thing. Halfway through, I
Same
wondered, I
thing.
was like, did I, yeah, what?
That's what happens when we're not comfortable. That's what happens when we're doing something for the first time. That's what happens when we're networking also. It's not comfortable. This is change management. It's practice like sports. Agility is continuous evolution. Agility is doing pilot projects. It's testing, it's inspecting, and it's getting feedback. It's continuously improving. Look at networking and give yourself a break and think of the arms that you're going to get better as you practice and as you try different things. And the arm thing is as much for networking as it is when you start a new job, right, Cheryl? You got to get into that groove and say, okay, I'm going to give myself a break. It's one day at a time, and I have the right attitude, and I'm focused, and I'm going to do my best. That's it. That's all you can do. And it's the same thing when you're networking. And Harvard did a study a few years ago, and they were saying how networking and agility were very similar, that it was all about the word continuous, about continuously trying out different things. And the connection that I made right away is when I started in agility, I was told, remember these 3 words: inspect, adapt, feedback. Inspect, adapt, feedback. Have the conversation. Inspect who that person is you want to go meet. Look at them. And you know what? If the first sentence that came out of your mouth didn't come out right, adapt. Try something else. And then move on. Go meet somebody else in the room or on a Zoom or whatever, and try as you go. Remember when I started saying about how I was the professional knitter? Find something that would spark that conversation for you and that represents you. You know, Cheryl, you said before you have a dog.
Mhm.
I'm a dog trainer. I've had dogs all my life, and boy, can I train them. And then you tie it into whatever you do at work. You know, at Hick, you could say, I played professional baseball for 2 months. And then just what?
I
And
have
then you
talked
could
about
say,
animal rescue before because I realized that a lot of what I do is actually servant leadership in the animal rescue world. And I'm also a connector. So, people get a hold of me because they need something and I tell them who to reach out to that can help them with that. So I frequently will pull in, my volunteer work as an example that does then apply actually to my work as well.
and that's something that's close to your heart and that you love. So when you're going to talk about it, you're talking about it with passion.
Yep.
You're talking about from a place of meaning. So do you feel uncomfortable or phony? You don't feel phony
No.
when you're talking about that.
Nope.
But if you're talking about your business, or you're talking about or a project that you want to kickstart, sometimes we're like imposters. We don't really feel comfortable. We feel phony. Always kick off with something that you're comfortable with, that you like, that you adore, that is precious for you, or that is funny. It's, I remember another time we were at an event and it was in the evening, and all the business meetings were finished and it was like networking time. And do you guys know Seinfeld, the sitcom?
Yep.
Well, my brothers always made jokes of me saying that I danced like Elaine. So that's one of the ways that I introduced myself that evening. I said, I dance like Elaine in Seinfeld. I'm MC from Canada. And it was just to try to bring, like, that day was so hard. It was just grueling with meetings. So I was trying to bring a breath of fresh air, and it worked. So that's how I built my confidence and started feeling more comfortable. I saw the reaction, and you have to observe how people react, and you're going to get a comment right away. So why network if you're not nurturing and leveraging it? So that's something important. I've seen many people introduce themselves like, I met, like, I don't know, and then they showed me 18 business cards. And wow, that's great. Well, okay, what are you going to do after? Then you got to connect. You got to follow up. You got to follow through. You don't just collect business cards. If you're in sales, you're going to collect business cards, you're going to follow up, you're going to have your spreadsheet, or you're going to work with any tool. The executive sales team is going to ask you what you're doing, what your pipeline's like and whatnot. But if you are networking for the Agile community, if you're networking because you're looking for something specific, tie it back to what and why you want to nurture that level. If you're looking for a new job, I'll give you that as an example. Would you just give your name and CV and not follow up?
Nope.
Well,
Well,
some people do. It doesn't get very far.
Well, a lot of people just send out like 400 CVs and resumes and just cross their fingers and
Mhm.
hope that something's going to move and somebody's going to see them. It's the same thing if you're in a room with 400 people. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to maneuver and walk in that hall and meet with people and shake hands and greet and make true connections? Following up and following through is as good as when you want to network, or if you're working on a project or you're developing a super product. And you got to have the right attitude. If you are positive and you're smiling, you're going to attract. If you're looking at your feet and you're mumbling, I'm often surprised. I am very, what? I'm Jerry. Hi, Jerry. And some people really don't talk loud, and some people talk too loud, and some people, so it's learning how to continuously adjust and adapt. And you're going to see if you're off your mark, because the person's going to go, whoa, or say they're busy or they don't have time, or can I talk to you after? And then you never see them after. So put the chances on your side, smile, connect with them, say something that's going to spark, follow up and follow through, and use social media. Sometimes you can create bonds and alliances. I've made so many deals like that. It was surprising. People remembered and they're still cracking up. You're the knitter, right? Did you knit a scarf this week? And I would say, no, I did it too.
One of my favorite suggestions is actually if you go to a conference, or even if you're doing something online, take a picture and then post it on LinkedIn and say, I'm at this conference. I just, heard this person talk about this thing, and, it was really cool. And and tag that person, even if you certainly aren't connected with them. I've had so many people then send me connection requests. It's like, oh, here's a famous author sending me a connection request because I've, had tagged them and posted that I liked their stuff. And same with speakers. And I recommend that all the time.
You're very right. Reach out. Remember that slogan? Reach out and touch someone. Well, reach out and connect with someone and tell them why. Lovely connecting. I've been following you for years. I think you're smashing. And I'd love to have a Zoom coffee, 10 minutes. Don't say an hour, 10 minutes, 10 minutes Zoom coffee. It's really important to build that rapport, because my last little bullet here is, rather than gain leads, build the relationship. You don't want to just say, check, check, check. I've got 18 business cards and here are the 18 people that I met at that event or that networking thing. You want to build over time in that rapport, and it's not transactional. It's finding partners, and networking is partners. Finding good people, they become partners. Finding good people can be an opportunity for a new job, a new client, a new project, a new house, a new husband. So you have to be visible. And Cheryl was saying something important. That picture or that image or something that sparked in the conversation. Like, I don't know, I'm just fabulating here. I never did it. Maybe I should, you know, when I was saying that I was the professional knitter, maybe the following day I should have sent a picture of a toque and say, hey, how about that Zoom coffee? You know, do you want me to knit you a toque? Or would you prefer, you know, I don't know, something that was like, you know, socks, knitted socks for the cold weather and mini. So you need to continuously evolve that conversation. So if I talked about, I was a professional knitter, and then I followed up with that person and sent them an email and a picture of my toque, you're continuing that fun atmosphere with them. That it creates a dynamic that's fun. And I'm telling you, it's going to get you out of your comfort zone like the arms, but you're going to grow from it and you're going to learn from it. And it's an experiment. Agility is about testing. And we don't test ourselves. We test everything and anything. We test the water in our pool. We test everything that we program. We test so many things at school, but we don't test ourselves on our relationships and how we interact with people and how people are talking about us or we're talking to them.
And go out on LinkedIn and comment on those people's posts, you know, add your thoughts. You know, I know Eric is really good at that. You know, see somebody's, you know, post and comment about it, add to what they're thinking and share your ideas.
I totally agree. And, you know, I have this little saying here that I really like from Gary, and it's all about attitude. Attitude will determine your network altitude. People feed off attitude. And I'm not kidding. When I get resumes, I can get a resume of somebody that is like, wow, on paper, wow, gold. I meet them in person. Oh my God. How are they going to work with the team? How are they going to be interesting for the client? Oh my God, this person mumbles. And then I could have somebody that is either much older, okay, because people at all ages are working and are having fun and have a lot to give back. Well, if they have the right attitude and they're smiling and say, I'm not sure, but let me go check. And then they come back and they follow up and they follow through, and then they learn and they are creating the reflexes, and hey, they brought donuts and they did this. And I prefer working with that person, and I know clients will prefer that too. Then it's like having a doctor that doesn't even look at you. You walk into his little cabinet and he's there. Yeah, so what's up? What's wrong? Oh, I prefer, and then I don't even think he's listening to me when I'm talking. I don't even think that he heard what I said. He hasn't lifted up his head yet. He's writing, but what is he writing? And then I can walk into Dr. Jerry's office and he's there. Hey, MC, haven't seen you in a good long time. Something must be wrong. So sit on the bed and tell me what's up. I have a feeling that he's engaged and he's taking me seriously and he's attentive. I'm giving you an example of a doctor because we've all lived that. Really bad doctors that have no good bedside manners. They can be brilliant surgeons, brilliant doctors, but when you walk out of there, you don't feel heard, seen, understood. Nothing. And you don't even think he listened when you talked. It's a rapport. It's an exchange that we're creating when we're networking. And it's not just for networking, guys, what I'm sharing tonight. It's everything in life. You know, I remember when I got married, I used to sometimes fight with my husband, and then they're, well, you should have known that's what I wanted. And they're, no, I can't be in your head. Well, you know me, you should have known that I don't like these flowers and I like these flowers, or you should have known that I don't like that food and I like this. Stupid little things. We expect people around us in our families or coworkers or people that we assume that they know what we want. We assume that the boss knows we want a raise because we worked so hard. We assume that they know all we did because we worked so hard and we worked late. No, nobody knows. So we have to learn in life how to speak up. And this is the section that I call the newness in us. How we need to learn how to speak up, ask what we want, and do it with the right attitude and put on that smile. So I don't do that to my husband anymore. I really speak up and ask what I want. I don't try and make him guess what I want. And I've seen a pattern. My mom used to do that with my dad. My dad's name is Fernand. And she would say, Fern, how come you got me this? You know, I didn't want this. He says, I didn't know. Well, she says, you know me. You know, I don't want this. And it's like, oh, it just clicked. I just got it. So networking is about sharing. It's about speaking up, and it's not taking. And I've seen salespeople, and I'm going to give you another example. You have a client calling, he wants to do an agile transformation. He doesn't know what an agile transformation is. It's been this buzzword that's been happening, and everybody in the company and the boss is saying, we got to be agile, we got to be agile. We got to be more efficient, and we got to do iterations, and we need to bring that agile mindset. Well, I've seen salespeople in agile companies be like restaurant waiters and saying, okay, you want 2 hot dogs? Okay, what do you want? Relish, mustard, and a ketchup? They're taking an order instead of saying, okay, you want to be agile? You want to do an agile transformation? What's keeping you up at night? What's the biggest pain on your shoulder right now that I could try and take off? Let's start it with one thing. In French, we call it découpage. Let's cut it up in little pieces and try to see where we can help you first. And then we'll look, maybe that'll fix a whole bunch of other things. Let's inspect, adapt, let's go get feedback. So forming that trust and helping one another towards a goal is key. It's the same thing like the guy that was taking an order for 2 hot dogs. He wasn't listening to what the client is saying, or he was not trying to ask questions. Maybe it wasn't even a hot dog. Maybe he wanted a hamburger.
Valerie, did you have a question?
I just wanted to make a quick comment. There's no way MC could know this. Some of the toughest groups that I've worked with, that's how I won them over. And I was sincere about it. I didn't talk about Agile. I said, what is your biggest pain point, and let's solve it. And then they see the way I solve it. They join in. They're actually the ones solving it. But they're like, we don't care. What do you want us to do? This Agile stuff. What is it? What is it? What is it? So I'm like, you've already started. You're already thinking outside the box, how to solve your own problems, and what are the different ways that we can do it. And I just find that makes people, my biggest one, my most successful one I count is it was a security team, and they had horrible experiences. People called it Agile. Well, it was a whole bunch of other stuff that they went through, right? It was painful. And they were about to have an external audit that was going to cost the organization a lot of money, but everybody was just jumping on a plane saying, I'm not going to be here, I'm taking off, and all of this stuff. And I said, well, can you guys meet with me tonight? Who's that makes the decision? What can we do? the leader who was like agile naysayer, if you can imagine, they all start coming in because we turned it around. It was some work, but we turned it around. So I just like what you said. That's how I usually start. I do the pain points and I change how people attend meetings. So if you do big organizations, I've done a lot of the big, I call them the big boys. They love meetings just to feel like they're doing something, right? So everybody's sitting in the meeting, all the team, there's no work getting done, right? Zilch. Everybody just sitting there and everybody, I feel. So like I said, either you're adding value or you're getting value. And those of you setting up the meetings, you need to tell us what we're going to get out of it or we're not coming. The hardest part is I actually have the teams not go. Don't think I just go in and I do upset the apple cart, but I talk and make sure that, look, I'm getting ready. Cheryl in is laughing. She knows, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not very popular at first. I'm popular with certain people, but anyway, it works. It works. So you just struck a chord when you talked about the pain point. People need to know that you're not just in here selling a fad or this has got to be a good change. This has got to make my life better. But the other thing is that to me, which is so typical, and then I'll wrap this up, is that people want the good parts. They don't realize the work. They want to push that. Do you remember the commercial that had the big red button?
Yeah, Staples.
And you say, press the easy button. That's why agile transformation is a dirty word, because somebody told them, look, press the easy button, ta-da, your whole organization has changed.
Valerie, I love what you shared because it is key. Listening to that boss or that client or that partner and what is his pain? What is keeping them up at night? What is driving the business down? Ask those questions. And they're going to be not comfortable answering them sometimes, or they're going to blurb it out. It's one or the other, because one, they're taking it personally and it's like they're failing and they don't want to admit, or it's their ego. Or the other one, man, this is the problem. Then you can just say, okay, I'm pulling up my sleeves and I'm going to try and get that sack of potatoes off your back. Yeah. And you don't have to mention agile, because agile or bringing agility, and right now value is the other word because everybody's using it.
Oh,
I'm using the word accelerate these days.
You had another one I said I liked.
Fast forward here. I'm going to fast forward things for you. Remember when we had those video players or on your remote control? Fast forward. I'm going to help.
Yes.
So image it for them. And that's part of building that discussion, that relationship. Make it easy for them, make it an image. And then after you can say, by the way, that was agility. I love what you said. It's perfect. And that's what creates the stickiness factor that people want more. It's like ice cream. You can't just have a little ball of ice cream. You want a bowl. You want those 3 balls of ice cream, or you want to eat that tub.
Yes.
But it's that stickiness factor is so key. And Malcolm Gladwell had identified 3 roles. Like I've talked to you about the 5 wounds that people have, but think when you're at your office on a Zoom or in a boardroom, whatnot, there's connectors, mavens, and salesmen. Try to compartmentalize people like that, even at events or an agile day or wherever you're, even at your kid's baseball game. I'm not kidding. You're going to see connectors, mavens, and salesmen. The connectors are folks who know a lot of people. Doesn't mean that they brag. It doesn't mean that they know everybody and they're playing it. They know a lot of people. It's been easy for them to approach people. I'm a connector in life. If you had to identify, that's who I am. I connect because I love people. I truly, truly love people and either want to help or be part of a team and try to connect people. That's why I had said I was the knitter. Mavens are absolutely very important people on a team and in a business, because they are the ones that, hey, I heard this from Jimmy. You should be meeting with Jimmy because he knows what the objectives are. And then he just, it's like a connector, but with information, with details, with how we're going to go about it. Here's the plan. Here's the strategy. Here's like, okay, here's our sprint. Connected to scrum masters or product owners and or stakeholders or whatnot, but try to identify in your teams who are the connectors, who are the mavens, and the salesman often can be an internal champion that I don't know why, but Jimmy, when he talks, the president always listens and goes Jimmy's way. It doesn't mean that he's a salesman like a car salesman. No, salesmen can be people that know how to persuade something. You know, I think of a jury, or even think of a silent leader. We all work with silent leaders in our organizations. People that don't talk a lot, that don't take a lot of room, but when they talk, everybody listens. I used to have a George like that. George would start at noon and finish at 6:30 every night. And he would come in with his lunch. And every time George spoke, I'm not kidding, everybody turned around and listened to him because he had this routine and had this way of working and he had vision. And he knew how to understand and listen to people. He knew how to not push away ideas, but bring them back and not put down people, but say, hey, wait a minute, let's go back to what Nadine was saying. That made sense, you know? Or Valerie said, let's try and look at the pain points. There's something there. So he would give credibility at the same time. And that's always fun because the Maven knows how to share knowledge and share where we're going. The salesperson can help adopt, inspect, adapt, and make it easier to work with the person that needs to buy in to what you're developing or what you're working on. And the connector can say, wait a minute, let's go meet this person. Let's do this. And, oh, wait a minute, I've got this in my drawer. We could do this again. You know, it's just, these three need to collaborate and work together. And it's funny because as I was showing, I was wondering how many mavens there were, how many sales. I don't like the word salesperson, but how many connectors? I was, you know, there's a whole mix in just tonight on the Zoom. We all have our personalities and we all kind of need each other. Your network is a reflection of your network. Your network is a reflection of your net. Oh, it's a mistake. Sorry, your net worth. I don't know why it's wrote network, but it's your network is a reflection of your net worth. In business, who you know might get you a job. Who you know might get you a really good project to work on. Who you know might tell you, hey, there's a house for sale in my neighborhood. Who you know might get you on the basketball team. Who you know can always, it's your net worth. So when you look at how you connect and build with people, have that in mind. Do you guys know Darren Hardy?
No.
He wrote a book all about habits. He's really interesting. And he says success is awarded to those willing to do the uncomfortable. I kicked off our meeting tonight with the arms as an example. How that's, so don't be shy about being uncomfortable. I am still so many times. It's unbelievable. I realize that, oh my God, I'm sweating, you know, or Oh, my knees. And I'm going to give you examples of guts sometimes that we need to have. I won an RFP not very long ago. It was a very big RFP, and I was really excited and proud and happy and had a lot of wine that night. But I asked the following day to meet with the president. And they told me, oh, no, the president doesn't meet you. And I said, no, I really would like to meet the president. And they said, no, he's not involved in the RFP. And I said, I need 10 minutes with the president. So basically, I got my 10 minutes in person at his office. So I arrived with my little bag and my purse, and bonjour, it was in French, by the way. Sorry. So I said, bonjour, hello, Jerry, how are you? Very nice to meet you, sir. I'm going to take only 10 minutes. So I sit down and I get out of my briefcase, my little bag, the RFP, and I go, boom, I put it on his desk, bang. And there, Monsieur Jerry, this is what everyone in your company wants. Everyone, I'm sure, every division. I'm very honored to have Juanin, but it's a pizza. And I don't know what you want and what you need. So I get up and I take the RFP and I rip it in two and I go put it behind him in his waste paper basket. And I said, this I know by heart. I spent hours and my team also on it. I need to know what you want. What do you need? What keeps you up at night? Because I could do all this, and at the end of the day, you'll say, "Elle était pas bien bonne. She wasn't really good."
Yep.
Now, I look really hot right now saying this example to you. Can I tell you that when I walked out of that office, almost 15 minutes later, my hands were so sweaty. I think my teeth were like, I went to the elevator after the reception thing, and I'm not kidding. My heart was pounding like you cannot imagine. And I was so proud of myself because I told him the truth. I told him what I thought. I spoke up, and I had the guts to tell the president. Well, guess what happened? We really won that RFP, but we changed so many things. And that RFP that was 84 pages became 32.
Wow.
So think about it. Sometimes follow your instinct. And networking, it's the same thing. Sometimes there's people that we don't need to meet. Sometimes there's people we don't want to meet. Why is that? Sometimes follow your instinct. I know one thing. I'm 57 and I listen to my instinct. When I don't, I always regret it. Always. So this is about change, and upping your game and putting yourself out there. And it's not always easy. And sometimes we've always learned the expression, what's your elevator pitch? What's your elevator pitch? Before I joined CPrime, I worked at Pyxis and I was one of the shareholders, and I didn't start off being one of the shareholders. I was the vice president of marketing. And I had been there 1 month and I couldn't believe how everywhere I went with either, somebody that was really techie or an engineer, or I would go even with my president somewhere, nobody explained the company the same way. So I pulled out my old VHS camera recorder and I decided to go to work with it one day, and I put an old VHS in it. It was a Hitachi. And I decided to film everyone that was in the office that day, from the receptionist to the president, to the developers, to the marketing team, to operations, to finance. Like, imagine every floor in an organization. And I just asked them one question: what's Pixis for you? What do we do at Pixis? What is it? And then I would give them, like, I don't know, 15 seconds to say something, their elevator pitch. Well, I had brought my old VHS, also plugged it all in at the office, put it on the monitor. In 35 minutes, we had every commentary that you can imagine, and we can see how we were not aligned. Nobody had the same elevator pitch because there wasn't one for the organization. And as the new VP for marketing, I thought this was good data. We need to measure. We're an agile organization. How come we don't understand what we really do and what we have to offer? We're a consulting organization. We have agile know-how, and we can bring it to your organization through learning and upskilling, or through coaching and transferring our knowledge, or we can help you develop something. We're really good backstore people. So, that became like our elevator pitch afterwards, but we were just all over the place. Oh, we're Scrum Masters. Oh, we're this, oh, we're that. Nobody that did not know agility could understand what we were doing. So
I worked at one
practice.
company that one day a month or something, they would draw several names out of a hat of people who worked there. And then they would, like CIO, CEO level and down, a group of people would go walk to that person's desk, and then they would ask them, what the mission statement was, or, some, what any of their certain slogans were, that kind of thing. And then you'd get a gift card if you got them right. But it was always this big hullabaloo, and somebody had cowbells, and, so it was very, but
I love that. I
interesting.
love that because at the same time, you create an environment in that culture. That's how you bring value and values together. When I learned agility, for me, it was a people thing. First and foremost, it wasn't a framework, it was people. And it was about collaboration, about transparency, about being curious, about being, respectful. It was all these human values. And these human values had frameworks that allow us to do dailies and retros and understand roles where we would inspect and adapt and get feedback and work into iterative fashions that would bring us to deliver at the end of the day. Because when I started in agility, I remember my president explaining to me one story, and it took 1 minute to explain it to me. Before the manifesto, when you were a developer, a coder, or however you want to call it, 3/4 of the time, whatever you were working on would take the shelf. It would take the shelf and never see light of day, never be developed, never be somewhere where you could use it. Because either there was a change in management, a cut in budget, because the team had shifted and had to work on another priority. So in the manifesto, my ex-boss, who had worked with the ones that wrote the manifesto, had realized there must be a better way to deliver software and for it to see the light of day. That's how agility started. Okay, so re-engineer relationships to recharge. Do you know how empowered you feel when you've met somebody that you've always dreamt of meeting, or always wanted to shake their hand or be invited to speak with them or whatnot? It's exhilarating. Networking can be you can get a high. You can get so hooked on it. It's unbelievable, because every person that you meet in your life on your journey might bring something incredible to your life. I have a lot of respect for people. Nobody went to school the same way. Nobody grew up with the same means or same type of neighborhoods. But when you put people together, there's the generosity and excitement and energy in the air that's amazing. And tap into that. That will make you smile also. And why you need to invest yourself in this and test with people. I'm not kidding. Test different messages or pitches or how you want to introduce yourself or something that's going to be, snazzy a little bit. So everywhere on this presentation, you've seen Atlanta 22 and Connect, and I have not taken it off. Because in Atlanta, not very long ago, I met CeeLo Green, the guy that sings Crazy. And I got to sit with him and his family and have drinks and really party. And I didn't know him at all. I just went by him and I said, oh my goodness, that's CeeLo Green. I got to go say hi, and how I love that song and how I used to love dancing on that song. And I did do that. And I did it from a place that was so genuine. He asked me to sit down with his cousins and his group and his little pod thing. And it was so much fun. And then I was with other people from my company, and they were all, and then I was looking at how other people would introduce themselves. And I observe a lot. I can talk a lot, but I also observe a lot. And I was just looking at the different approaches, how people were going up to him. Like, hey, dude, love ya, or there was some people that are crazy and singing. And then other people were giving their business cards. And then other people were saying, hey, I'd love to buy you a drink. And hey, we're having a party in the other room. If you want to come and join us, you could come and sing for us. It was just not so how people approach people, and they're not genuine. So celebrities know that firsthand. I had the opportunity to be on stage with Kiefer Sutherland not very long ago. I was doing a presentation for CPrime, and I was talking about people and technology, how we need both to come together. That's what helps organizations accelerate. That's what makes organizations innovate. And in the world of acting in the entertainment industry, it has completely renewed themselves. They're not working at all the same way they used to work. And Kiefer Sutherland was there, and I'm a fellow Canadian, and I connected with him. And people always approach him about 24 and this, and like all the different shows that he's done or the movies he's been on, or they all talk about his dad, which is his biggest irritant. I approached him on horses because I knew that between when he used to drink a lot and be like a part of the brat scene in LA when he was growing up, because he was all in these successful movies when he was very, very young. His way to keep sane and clear and whatnot was to go and wrangle and work horses. And he became really good. And he's also won a whole bunch of national competitions, and not a lot of people know that. So I spoke to him about that, and right away it was like, phew. And sometimes it doesn't take much, but the quickest way for people, and it has worked for me, and I hope it works for you guys, is to like you, is to show genuine interest. And remember Joan Rivers, can we talk? Well, when she used to do that, it was because she wanted to be personal. She wanted to go somewhere where other people don't go. She was setting it up. Can we talk? And she wanted something that was real and genuine from that person. So when I spoke to Kiefer, well, we took a whole bunch of pictures after, and guess what? He sang 4 songs because he's a freaking amazing singer also. And he's really talented. And what I did not know, and I'm saying to the Agile community, he has an Agile coach. Guess why? Because he's been doing it for many, many years, but the way that he learns his scripts, the way that he studies the landscape of a script, the way that he wants to interact with the other actors, and the result he's looking for, and the time that he allocates to learn his script, and how he works in a pod with a team. It's agility. And that's why he connected a lot with my talk about people and tech and agility. So
Cool.
that was really phenomenal. So where to go and what tools do we use to enlist people and groups? So I told you earlier, I work a lot with LinkedIn. It's a business environment. My son that's 18, he's been saying for 5 years that parents destroyed Facebook. And, we've got Instagram today that is like a fly by night and it's incredible. We have TikTok and, I've met so many people that are incredible on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Facebook, I'll be very honest, I really use more personally, but use the tool that you like, that you're comfortable with, and then explore another one where you're not comfortable and look at what some people do that impress you. So I'm not saying to have a mentor, but have models. I have this webinar that's called Elevate with Grit. And it's a panel series that I've been doing for the last 1.5 years. And it's, when you have children, you raise your children. So I wanted to elevate with grit in the business workforce. I couldn't understand if we raise our children, how come we don't do that in the workforce with people? For me, it's so important. So I looked at different people that I liked, oh yeah, look at the Jada Pickett. I looked at the Oprahs. I looked at the fireside chats, and I looked at people that weren't known. We all know the Brene Browns, but there's a few people that aren't that known and have so much to give back. So my Elevate with Grit format is a round table, like if we were having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and it's convivial. Convivial means that it's personal. We're sharing so that the audience will respond to ideas, stories, nuggets, takeaways, so that it sparks something on how they can improve or do things. And it's just storytelling. So when you meet somebody and you're networking, stories work and jokes still work. Just get the right one, for the right audience. But going back to CeeLo Green, I saw how celebrities from very close, how they approach celebrities. And I've seen the same thing happen with C-suite, how people approach a president or a CEO or the chief financial officer or the CIO. My goodness, it's like, what did you just lose it? Timmy is not the same when he's in front of the president. What the heck is he babbling? He looks so good when he's in front of the team. So how we act in front of certain people is surprising. So something to think about. One thing that I want you to know is that when you network, it's not necessarily with a martini or a drink. It's not necessarily when we're eating. It's not necessarily when we're in an environment that's a business or whatnot. Networking is every day of your life, because you got to network and be a good team player for your team, for your organization, for your family, for your community, if you volunteer, if you're on a sports team, it's everywhere. So think about what's your return on investment and what is theirs. Networking effectively also has to be ethical, and it does take skills. Use your judgment. I was telling you before think about the joke you might say. Practice it on somebody that you like, that they will give you honest feedback, and follow your intuition. It is really, 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 really key to do that. And learn by observing. I told you how I observe. And you know, when you're networking, you don't have to be the first one to talk. You don't have to be the first one to introduce. Sometimes you'll see somebody that everybody wants to have either their autograph, or they want to meet, or they want to work with, or for whatever reason. Observe the other people, how they're doing it, and what type of reaction that person has. That's going to give you a cue. And on the spot feedback to know what to do and what not to do. I've met a lot of CEOs and C-suite people, and I observed before, and then I would come forward, and maybe I wasn't the knitter that night, you know, maybe I was something else, but it was important to also observe to see maybe the person's tired, but maybe the person is, you know, like doesn't want to be there anymore. So I remember my grandmother, I'm just going to share that story really quick. She had met the Prime Minister of Canada because she was in a gala and she had received an award. And my grandmother didn't drive. My grandfather drove her everywhere. And she had said that around 9 o'clock it should be finished, and it was like 9:10, and she said, oh my God, it's not finished, but I gotta leave because my husband is waiting me, and it's my grandmother, so this is many years ago. And she went to the Prime Minister and she said, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt, but Guy, my husband, is here to pick me up tonight, and I just want to say how it was an honor to spend a wonderful evening. So the Prime Minister said, oh, you're leaving? Let me take your arm. I want to get out of here too. I need to exit. And I'm not kidding. Everybody saw the Prime Minister leave with my grandmother.
That's
But
perfect.
you never know. She was being genuine. Instead of being embarrassed of saying that her husband was there and waiting, and you know, I would have probably said, called my husband, said, can you wait a little bit? It's not finished yet, you know? No, my grandmother was like, wow, she nailed it. And she left the building with him. So consider how many more people you will have the chance to meet if you speak to strangers, and if you're gracious, and if you're real. And focus on what you can do for other people, and you will grow a stronger, more engaged network. I'm telling you, that's how people are going to remember you, and you're going to have more fun. Okay, I'm just having a problem here. Okay, voilà. So I'm almost finished. Just want you to see this. Hi, my name is James. Da, 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 da. Forget that. That doesn't work. Try and do it differently. You know, sometimes I say CPrime. Does that ring a bell in Canada? No, nobody knows CPrime in Canada. Everybody knows CPrime in the US, but not in Canada. So my son thought of something really neat. He said CPrime. So
There you go.
So I would, joke about that or whatnot, but networking takes time. It takes energy. It takes guts. It takes oomph. So build that courage, remember the arms, trust your instinct, and find that little spark of how you can introduce yourself. And you can share content like Cheryl was saying. You can write mini blogs. If you're agile, you don't write a long blog anymore. You can do a paragraph at a time. It's enough. Share an idea. Ask questions. We're agile. Go get data. Measure. Ask questions. Find the way that lights you up. Nobody has the same passions, and that's really important. And invest on what you like. Does anybody know this person or recognize her?
Yep.
This is Ann Steiner. There's a reason why I wanted to share this picture with you guys tonight. Because I networked with her boss in 2013 and 2014, I got to know Ann. And during COVID, it was June 24th, and in Quebec, in Canada, there's a huge activity like a July 4th celebration. It's called Saint Jean Baptiste Day, and it was right in the middle of COVID. So she rang me or sent me an email. She said, I'm sure you're not celebrating. You don't have a beer. She said, I'm sure you're not celebrating. Let's share a beer and do a Zoom. Because I hadn't spoken to her in almost like, I don't know, 7-8 months. So this is me taking a picture of her, because as we were talking that night, she said, are you still happy at Pixis? And I started. So after about 10 minutes, and I wasn't complaining, I was just saying what was happening and how I had decided to take a big salary cut so I could pay the other employees. And it was COVID and everybody was struggling and everybody was trying to make ends meet, but also do the right thing. And she said, wait a minute. She wrote down on a piece of paper, leave. And I almost cried when she said that, because she said, why don't you come over to CPrime? So this story about power networking got me my job today. And it was done in a human way. It was done not by pitching and selling myself or trying to not be real. I just want you to know that sometimes when you put that effort of being you, and magic happens, and you'll meet people that you never thought you would have met. And I've put my big girl panties on many times in life, and I've walked in with that knot in my stomach in different meetings, but I've spoken up, I tried, and I guarantee that it'll bring you there and there and there. So I'm on LinkedIn a lot. You can reach out to me anytime. And I told you guys that I had this pack sack of different tools or ideas or things that I can share. It's something that I truly, truly love doing. I don't want to keep them for me. I want to share them. So I want to thank you for this time together tonight, truly. Thanks for inviting me, Cheryl.
Yeah,
And Cheryl
that's been
and
great.
Angela.
Oh, that's been fabulous. Thank you, MC.
You're very welcome.
Eric, we do have to just quickly hear from the person who said that they love networking.
Yes.
So,
Yes, please.
I mean, over the years, I think it was probably in grad school more than anything else that, I just really forced myself to become comfortable in a room full of strangers. And, and in some ways I'm kind of, I define an extrovert as somebody who draws energy from other people. And that's 100% my story. So I find it just really interesting because it's not about sort of like, somebody told me once, I would hate living in LA because everybody you meet is looking at you for what you can offer them. And that's not me at all, right? I'm just like, I think that even things that I know a lot about, I can always learn a different perspective from somebody. And it's always really intriguing to me to see sort of like how people deal with things. And then I'm very curious about like behavior and sort of like what happened to you in your life that got you to today and why you're acting this way. And so it's always just really kind of an inquisitive thing to me. But I think there's the other side of it, which was for a long time, I remember seeing somebody in an elevator one day when I worked for Pillsbury back in like 1999, 2000. And we got in the elevator and this guy got on that, had some glasses on, he was dressed really casually, and it was the CEO of Pillsbury. And he got in the elevator and, I was like, hey, how you doing? And the other person with me suddenly went, and got really stiff up against the wall, like, hello, Mr. So-and-so. And I was like, this guy buys me beers at the bar when I see him at Brits. And so like, like all of this like thing that we build up around these people based on their job or who they are, or the books they've written, or the things they've said, doesn't make them any less of a human being than any other human being on the planet, or any more of a human being than any other human being on the planet. And so it's like, I think if you can get sort of past that thing of like, I mean, to your point, MC, of like, it's not about what you can do for me, but it's sort of like, what can I learn, or what can I share with you, or whatever. And it kind of dissolves that weird pretense of, you know, formality or nervousness in a lot of ways for me. And so it's kind of like, you know, I would love to be in the middle of a room full of people that I've never met, because think of all the awesome things you could learn about the most random topics in the world. And like, and that's kind of just how I view it. So like, I love to meet people and talk to people, and like, you know, I'm okay making a complete fool of myself. I've been doing it my whole life. And so like, you know, like, it doesn't really bother me that much anymore, right? Like I don't, you know, I don't ruminate about, you know, weird interactions as much as I probably used to. But it really was, there was a point in time where I was, you know, like really just not comfortable in a room full of people, because I was there trying to figure out like, what can I get from the room, or I want to find a job, or I'm looking for X. And as soon as I kind of got rid of that and was just like, well, I'll just talk to these people, and maybe I don't want anything from them because I'm not going to like the interaction, you know, or whatever. But it's like, you know, I think if you can get out of your own head and just sort of be like, you know, nothing gained,
Let's just
nothing
go
lost.
see, let's go
Yeah,
try.
Yeah, I'm not
versus
gonna,
having
not
an
gonna
end
lose-
result.
yeah, I'm not gonna lose anything by talking to these people, but I may miss out on something by not. And so, you know, it's just sort of, what can you do in your own head, kind of flip that around. And so, plus I get super jazzed up just randomly talking to people. I was really tired today, and I got on the phone with, I haven't talked to my friend Jeff Patton for a long time. And by the time I got off the phone with him, I had to walk around for a little while and kind of like burn off some energy, because it was like, it's just a really engaging sort of, you know, conversation. And I get really excited about, you know, sharing information and like talking about random nothing, you know. And so that's kind of why it doesn't bother me, you know. If I was a person, I mean, and I don't really understand not drawing energy from people, but I know a lot of people who really, it requires a lot of energy to interact with other people, and that's, you know,
It's like
unfortunately,
sports, Eddie.
Yeah.
It's like sports before competition, you know, the
Yeah.
adrenaline
Yeah.
and the stress level. And then sometimes it's like after it's done, you've done your performance, you did your best, you're smiling, and that's
Yeah.
it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to be the dumbest person in a room, because like,
Mhm.
think of all the things you could learn, you know. And so
Well,
I think
thank you.
that's kind of the mental thing I had to get over. And now I'm just, you know, sort of comfortable in my own skin that way. So
That's a big thing. It's really important. There's Michael who has a question.
Yeah, just two very quick ones. Do you have a part two? Because I've got over the ability to walk up to someone and start a conversation, but the ability to end a conversation in a way that's not okay, thanks, bye, is something that really love to hear your part two version of that, because I'm terrible at it. But the other one was you said in the middle of the talk, you said a phrase, you went value and value. And I was wondering, was that a deliberate thing you were talking about? And I
Mhm.
thought that was fascinating, very powerful as well, just in that piece. So I really loved that piece. But yes, if you ever fancy doing a part two, shout out, because I'd love to hear that part of it.
Well, I'll give you an example. Okay. I'm half Scottish. I've got my kilt, my tartan. I danced for 27 years, Highland dancing. Michael.
Oh, that's fun.
Wow.
And then I would just say, I have to bow out. Everybody have a nice evening. Bye.
I will do that one.
You can do something really, really easy. Sometimes my 3Gs, you know, I desired to meet you tonight. I decided to go up to you and I did it. Now I wish you good night.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you
I
for
just
that.
thought of that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, it's always be thankful
Mm.
and leave with that smile. You're leaving off on a good note with a good impression if you want to follow up or a follow through.
Thanks for that. I actually do go over because I'm
Anytime.
just genuinely interested in meeting people. So that's all. That's rather than networking, I just like speaking to people and meeting people. But yes, endings, tough one for me. Thank you for that. Thanks for the tips.
You know, sometimes I just go, good night. And then I run. Gotta leave. And sometimes, you know what, you just made me think of this. Sometimes not saying anything is okay too. Just say,
I
it was
don't-
well meeting you.
I don't think I could just walk away though. Okay. Just turn around and walk away. So,
No,
so-
but you know, you can use your body language. You know, like I was blowing a kiss or I was saying, bye, I gotta leave now. Really swell meeting you. Bye. You don't have to give an excuse why you gotta leave.
I will try that. Thank you, MC.
You're welcome.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, I gotta run too, but this has been truly wonderful, MC.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it's
Thank you
been
so
great.
much. And I
Thank
mean it. Reach out on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy. Anytime you have a little question or something, I just love sharing that. And Cheryl knows. So,
Yep.
You know,
Yep. Yeah, MC
it's
is great.
real.
Absolutely connect with her on LinkedIn.
And
Thank you,
have fun meeting people. And you know, you never know who you're going to meet. Remember that I met Anne Steiner this way and I'm at CPrime because of her. But genuinely, we had become friends before. And we had a business connection because I knew her boss first. And show up. It always works.
Great.
And bonsoir. It was very nice meeting you all. Michael, this is for you. And Eric and Crystal and Tim and Cheryl and Angela. Thank you. It was really a blast meeting you all and reach out anytime.
Au revoir.
Thanks so much, MC.
Thank you. Thanks for
Bye.
sharing.
Have a great week.
Bonsoir. Bye.